Okay, moving on. Energy leaks. Boy, this is huge in the American lifestyle. Well, kind of in the global lifestyle, actually, now, because the American lifestyle has exported itself so successfully. Okay, so energy leaks. Now, maybe I put these in the wrong order, but basically, spiritual practice generates energy, as I've already said. Now, if you're generating energy through your spiritual practice, energy that you're going to need to bust through some of your, stories, self-images, and mental constructs. The thing is, you need to generate, and you need to have that energy instead of just leaking it all out again. So your body mind is like a container. It's like a vessel, and if you have holes in that vessel, then you will just leak out all the energy that you have generated. In the yogic tradition, there's the notion of, there's this metaphor whereby it was believed that the milk of a lioness is so powerful that it'll eat through any container except one of pure gold. Of course, this is completely mythical, but it doesn't matter. It's a useful metaphor. So you have to make a container of pure gold so the milk of the lioness won't just eat right through it and seep away. So the container of pure gold here means having little to no energy leaks, so that the energy you build doesn't just leak out again. We see this constantly. You go to some beautiful teacher, or guru, or workshop or something. You get a big hit of energy, and you feel so good, and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm really going to do this, and I'm going to meditate every day, and I'm going to do everything I need to do, and I'm going to conquer the world. And then 5 days later, you're back to exactly where you were before that workshop, before you got hugged by that guru or whatever. So why? Energy leaks. That's the answer. Here's a few. You'll see that these, you might get a little overwhelmed by the notion of plugging these leaks, but little by little, step by step, one at a time, work on plugging these leaks. The primary one, of course, we see in the modern lifestyle is exhaustion from overdoing. So just doing too much, just running around too much, just trying to accomplish so much, and just overdoing. And even when we're not working, we're still doing. We have these busy lifestyles, and we pack them in, and we overschedule ourselves. And that's a huge energy leak. The exhaustion, and even before the exhaustion sets in, you are already leaking energy. You see, that's why the exhaustion sets in. But when you're exhausted, it's already too late. You've leaked it, So this is so important for a spiritual practitioner, because you don't want to lose all that energy you generated, or what's the point of the practice? So do less. Simplify your life. How do you do that? Well, it's your life. You've got to find a way. You've got to be serious about wanting to do it, Strongly held beliefs, this is bullet point number 2. Strongly held beliefs and opinions are an energy leak. Well, that's interesting, isn't it? Because, it's a calcification in the system of the energy body. But calcifications cause the energy to sort of get stuck, and then it sort of, pops out and leaks away. In the same way that if you take a tube of toothpaste and screw the cap on really tight and then squeeze it as hard as you can, the toothpaste is going to come out somewhere, So in the same way, energy that's stuck, tends to just then, dissipate. And here we're talking about the energy that we want, right? The energy generated from spiritual practice. It wants to move through your system and sort of bless every part of you, we could say. Get stuck, it can't do anything there, and then it dissipates. So the stuckness often comes from strongly held beliefs and opinions, which are like a rigidification of some part of our energy body, we could say. And notice how strongly held beliefs aren't really good for anyone. It makes you argue with people more. It makes people argue with you more. And if you held the belief strongly enough, then what happens is, well, just look at the world. People kill each other over beliefs, all the time, actually. So, obviously in reality, there's no such thing as a Jew or a Muslim or a Christian, right? These are mental constructs. And they identify communities of people with similar mental constructs, right? But they're still just mental constructs. We're just humans, we're all just humans. So when people kill each other for being something different, they're killing each other over a belief, right? Now I give this dramatic example, but I just want to note that strongly held beliefs are violent, even if they don't lead to actual bloodshed. We cultivate on the tantric path softness of heart and openness and willingness to listen, willingness to hold space for the other person, willingness to be wrong. Keep asking yourself, would you rather be happy or right? Bullet point number 3, ill health is an energy leak, right? So taking the time to cultivate health, that's really important. In all the ways that you can cultivate health, not getting health obsessed or anything, but just taking the time to take care of yourself, just to care for yourself, that plugs the energy leak. Samskaric or habitual behavior patterns. Habitual behavior patterns that you do without reflecting on whether they're beneficial in that particular moment. Maybe you get home from work every day and you open a beer and you sit down in front of the TV for half an hour and you say, oh, but this is so good for me, I'm relaxing. The thing is, any habitual behavior pattern that you do without reflecting on whether it's beneficial for that moment of that day with the condition that your body is in at that time, is an energy leak. Okay, so self-reflection is crucial on this path. Sober connection to your real situation and self-reflection on that situation is the ground of spiritual work, the ground of spiritual progress. Unconscious speech. So that's gossip is unconscious speech, of course, but also just, you're talking with someone, you're having a nice conversation and it's fruitful and it feels nourishing. And then at some point it just kind of veers off into gossip. It ceases to be nourishing and it starts being an energy leak. So pay attention to that and you'll notice, you can actually feel the difference. You can feel when the conversation is no longer nourishing, it's just coasting. And then it goes from coasting into actually depleting you. Okay, too much speech is depleting, especially unconscious speech, but really too much talking of any kind is going to be depleting eventually. One of my teachers said, the power of your words increases in direct proportion to the silence that you keep. Of course, I'm talking a lot in these courses, but okay, escapist thought. That's a huge energy leak for most people, which is fantasies or anxieties regarding the future and reveries or regrets regarding the past. Entering into these thought worlds, inhabiting these thought worlds of fantasy, anxiety, reverie, and regret. This is escapist thought. It's a big, big energy leak, one of the biggest. You don't even realize how much it's an energy leak until you stop doing it. And you'll find I have a lot more energy. I feel more alive. I feel more in my body. I feel more happy. I feel more connected to people. Unbelievable results, Again, none of these things are easy to implement as changes in your life. Nothing really worth doing is that easy, is it? So escapist thoughts, and for that matter, all other forms of buffering. So buffering is when you push away an uncomfortable feeling with whatever activity. So you can push away an uncomfortable feeling like sadness or boredom through fantasizing, or through eating ice cream, or through watching TV, or through surfing the internet, or through looking at your Facebook feed, or through gossiping. All of these are buffering well, they're not always buffering. All of these can be forms of buffering. The question is to ask yourself, this is not about those activities in general. Do you see what I mean? It's not bad to eat ice cream or whatever. It's asking yourself, am I doing this in order to push away a feeling of sadness or boredom or something like that? If you are, that's buffering, and that will be an energy leak. Using sexual energy in depleting as opposed to rejuvenating ways. Yeah, just pay attention. You know, everything comes from paying attention. Just notice when it's depleting as opposed to rejuvenating. Flirtation, you know, sex play, sex with strangers, whatever you're into, that's all fine. Just ask yourself, to what extent is this depleting, and to what extent is it rejuvenating for me? And if it's rejuvenating, from the tantric point of view anyway, go for it. It's great. And anything that's rejuvenating done in excess will be depleting. Relationships without clarity. Relationships without clarity is fine if you don't want or need clarity. For example, when we're just getting to know someone, we don't yet want or need clarity about how we're going to relate to them, how they're going to relate to us. You know, is this a friend? Is this a lover? Is this a partner? Is this a acquaintance? Is this a business contact? You know, you explore with someone and you don't need to know the answer right away. But eventually, lack of clarity in the relationship when you want and need clarity is an energy leak. If you really don't want or need clarity at all, honestly, it's not an energy leak. But if you do, like most people, it is to continue in that relationship without that clarity. Okay, obviously I could do a whole workshop just on that one bullet point, but I'm moving on. Number 3, lack of access to the full palette of yogic practices that serve to generate liberative energy. So in other words, most people just in the modern yoga world just don't have access to the full range of practices that the original tradition came up with to support you in this whole process. And so what most people have access to is an extremely attenuated range of practices. And so, you know, in my immersion course, which is a 5-month long kind of deep immersion into tantric practice and philosophy, the students probably get, I don't know, several dozen distinct, really powerful practices that are not in general circulation in the yoga world, or a few of them are, you know. So getting the access to the full palette is really important, because a practice that works for some people doesn't work for others, and the right one for you, or the right ones, the right handful of practices that are really going to work for you, you know, you don't know what they are until you try them. So full palette of practice generates more of this Shakti, this liberative energy that you will in turn leak less of if you've already addressed the energy leaks.